It's my privilege to introduce the Salutatorian for Sparks High School with a 5.13 GPA, Salma Valdez Marquez.
Thank you and good morning to all. I'd like to start off by reading a poem I wrote last year titled, If You Run. If you run. If you run across the yard, Blackie will chase you. If you run to the road, Blackie will chase you and expect you to run farther than before. If you run to the end of the road, Blackie will leap through the dust, ears in the air, and chase you. Even if you run across the border, grow up, go by a different name, and forget you were once the happy bald girl who ran, still, Blackie will chase you and expect you to run farther than before. I was born in Guanajuato, Mexico, in 1996. My mother comes from very humble origins. She was poor. She never got to go to college, even though she always valued education. And my father was a field worker for many generations. When I was 4 years old, my family decided to immigrate to the United States. My parents hoped to give my sister and I better education opportunities than Mexico could provide. Leaving Mexico is one of the most vivid memories I carry with me. I remember my grandparents crying. I remember the purple walls of my home. But mostly I remember Blackie. You see, Blackie was my dog. He was the best dog anyone could ever wish for. He was a tiny black sheepdog with shiny fur. He was obedient and caring, and often he would walk my sister to kindergarten. Even though he was harmless, I was always afraid of Blackie. I never knew why. I was a tiny bald girl. Whenever he approached me, I would run off. But he would never chase me enough to catch me. Whenever I would trip over my fat little legs, he would just linger behind me. He would never catch me, but he would always chase me. My life in the United States was difficult. Even though I never starved, money was always tight. In 2002, I began kindergarten. I didn't like kindergarten at all. I didn't like being separated from my mother. I didn't like the taste of American food. I didn't know what a cheese stick was. And I couldn't speak any English. Years passed, and I slowly began to understand English. My palate became accustomed to American tastes. But I also developed a sense of bitterness within me. I would look around, and I'd see the poverty my classmates and I lived in. And I began to feel utterly ashamed of my Mexican roots. I wanted to be a born and bred American so badly, I fell silent. I avoided speaking Spanish. I never talked about my life before the US. I buried it. I never talked about the purple walls of my home. And I never talked about Blackie, my sweet dog, who was still chasing me. That changed when I began to attend Sparks High School. At Sparks, roots and culture are something to be proud of. I saw my culture, my history, my immigrant roots, not as something I needed to hide, but as something part of me. At SHS, I have thrived. Graduating second in my class, a 5.1 GPA, I will be attending UNR this fall as an environmental studies major. But this would not have been possible had it not been for the support at SHS. Because when I didn't think I was smart enough for AP classes, Ms. Herrera did. When I didn't think I was a good enough writer, Ms. Valadez did. When I wasn't confident enough to speak Spanish out loud, Mr. Garcia spoke loud enough for the both of us. And when I didn't think I was qualified to stand up here today and give this speech, Mr. Carroll did. SHS taught me a lesson in poverty. Poverty is not measured by how much money you make, or your car, or your savings account, but poverty is carried in the soul. Poverty is loneliness, poverty is cold, and it's a lack of support. SHS showed me what wealth is. For example, last year in May, we had our annual Night of All Nations. However, that night was special. It was the first Night of All Nations since our beloved Mr. Garcia had been cancer-free. As the dishes were being served, and I was serving tamales, people began dancing in an empty spot in the corner of the gym. The music was turned up, more people joined in, Mr. Garcia joined in, and a dance floor was created. To dance, even when the music is low and there is no dance floor, that is true wealth. And at Sparks High School, we are rich. SHS showed me that I was brought to this country for a reason. I have a passion for the environment, and I have the ability to find the solutions to those problems we face today. Like me, all of you have problems to solve. You have schools to run, parents to deal with, and you have children to inspire. I've realized everybody has a Blackie, and Blackie has never left me. I miss my dog very much, but he has never stopped chasing me, and he still expects me to run, so I'll run. Thank you.